Good afternoon, Sam. Hey, Sam, if I wanted to get a nice Greek bouzouki, like, say, the Taylor of Greek bouzouki's, not necessarily the Martin or Gibson of Greek bouzouki's, what should I expect to spend? I've been doing a lot of bouzouki playing, and I would love maybe to get a better one, but I don't want to go crazy because it might take a minute for it to pay for itself. So I don't know what the range is on those. I'm trying to find a pick with some, it's not so rounded off. I wear them out. I don't know how many we have. It'll be probably light today because I'm so late. I had a doctor appointment this morning and a couple, and then my back, my neck and shoulder have been killing me, so I stopped off at the mall on the way back and did one of those guys with the chair, the elbows, the chair massage things, like you see at the airport. So I got one of those and had them really work my neck and shoulders. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, and it's like I was thinking a couple thousand. I don't know if there's any like mass manufacturers like Taylor or Martin or Gibson in the bouzouki arena. I could probably check out a bunch of elongated. You like that? Do you understand why I did that, though, right? But yeah, but I was looking, checking out some Greek bouzouki forums, but it was all Greek to me. So yeah, I haven't even looked at it and see. So I uploaded it a couple weeks ago, and of course it got I could do a rant on this. Maybe I'll do a video on it. It's very frustrating. Let me see. So I need to put a link from my really popular one and see. I always get people saying, well, that's not bluegrass. Well, I had drums on the one, and so everybody kept saying, so I didn't put drums on this one. Or I haven't put drums on them in a while because somebody said, if it's got drums on it, it's not bluegrass. And I'm like, I bet you I could find 10 bluegrass bands that have a drummer. But they probably go, it's not bluegrass if it's got drums. So, okay, whatever. Yeah, purists. I mean, it's like, okay, whatever, Are you mad that you searched for bluegrass jam tracks and you heard one with a drummer? You could skip my video. You don't have to, go to the length of making a comment about how I'm an idiot. But anyway. Already 400 views. Not bad. Not very long average duration, though. People probably thought it was a video about something, and it's not a video about anything. But I lost a couple subscribers because of it. Well, that makes sense. A lot of people don't subscribe to me for the jam tracks. Takamine regarding, does Takamine make Greek bouzouki's? I'm gonna do a shorter live stream today because I'm so late, and somebody needs to let Bruce know I'm live. I'll let him know. He was texting me. Oh, see, that's so weird that his texts don't show up on my computer. They only show up on my phone. So he may not be getting my text. Oh, he did. Okay. I just told him. All right. Good midday. Good Navant. Yeah, exactly. Good Navant for me What is it for you, Jan? I don't think Dennis is going to make it. But I couldn't push it to another day because my dance card filled up this week, and I got too much going on. That's why I got to go short today because I got it's just piling up. You know how that when you're on, you got your desk and then people put work on your desk and then it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. That's where I'm at right now. So I've got. In fact, let me just make sure that this Dropbox isn't. Oops, no, that's not what I want. I want this. Make sure it's not. Oh, he did add something else. See, so I'm going to drag that over. I can kind of tell by looking at so this is for a video game. I've got this one composer I'm working for. Where is it today? Here it is. Okay. Wait. No, I have that. Oh, that's me. Okay, cool. No, he hasn't uploaded anything new. Okay, cool. All right. So I'm chipping away. I've still got 5 of the scenes to play on. I did the long one. It was 34 minutes. It had bass and bouzouki, a lot of bouzouki, a lot of bass. Guitar lele, which I don't have out right now, but that's basically a 6-string guitar, 6-string ukulele. What else did I play on it? Oh, bass and electric guitar, something else, a steel string and 12-string. So a lot, and 34 minutes of music. Now I'm not playing. It's like I'm playing for a minute here and a minute there and a minute here and a minute there, but then another instrument I'm playing. So it just adds up to be a lot of music. In fact, I've been using PDFs more and more. It's just hard because when I'm recording acoustic, I like to have my right hand over here for hitting play and stop and all that, right? All my controls. So, and I like to face this way, usually away from the window, so that if there's any sound coming from the window, I can block it a little bit. But I can put on this screen here that I'm looking, anyway, I got 2 screens. I can put on one screen, I can put the PDF of the chart. But the problem with that is I'm doing this and I'm looking over and I can't see my hands, and that may be how I hurt my neck. I woke up a couple mornings ago and it was just killing me. I mean, don't worry, I recycle, but just to give you an idea of how much I've been doing, this is like, that's almost a ream right there. I've almost gone through a ream of paper. That's 500 pages of music. And, like if I pull up, this is like mostly easy stuff here. What is this? What instrument is this? I don't know what this is. Let's see. That's actually Greek bouzouki. So this wasn't too hard, this particular cue. Some of them are hard. But you can see all those rests. Like at the beginning, there's some chords up here, and then a bunch of rests, and then a little bit of melody there, and then a couple rests, and then more melody, and then more rests. So you can see it's just music's kind of, my part of it is kind of peppered throughout. The game is called Stray Gods, I think, which is funny because Stray is sometimes my nickname, and Stray Dog or Stray Cat, never Stray God, but I think that's the name of the game. Let me see if there's something about it, or if maybe it's pre-existed. Yeah, Summerfall Studios. Epic Tale of Gods, Magic, and yeah, so role-playing musical. Oh, that explains why there's so many songs. Okay, well, you can look it up. Cast and crew. Oh, there's Austin. Yeah, it's a lot and a lot of music. So it's an interesting concept for a game. I guess they're still getting funding or something. Wonder how that works. I've already been paid. Paid me in advance, which I don't normally do it that way, but they insisted, so I was like, okay, sure. So, is this a story time? No, I just got started. I haven't gotten to the lesson yet. What I was going to do is, we've been talking about embellishments and things like that, and one of the things that happen, chord embellishments, like when you're playing and you're like, people people always ask, how do you do that? Or, you know, how do you fill it in a little bit or make it more interesting instead of just the same? The same old thing. Can you do something to make it interesting? So that's what we've been talking about for the last few weeks, and we probably continue with that. But in fact, last week I think I just started doing the electric guitar. We started talking about like Hendrix is like the classic, you know, the classic example. But it's a skill that is handy for anyone who's kind of the only guitar player. Say you're playing with a bass player and a drummer. It's nice to have those abilities to kind of fill it in a little bit, make it more interesting than just a bunch of power chords or just some open chord strumming, whatever, the same pattern over and over again. So we've been kind of tackling that, and I've really been going stream of consciousness on it. I really don't have a plan when I'm teaching it, so hopefully people make comments like, hey, that was great, I learned a lot, kind of thing. So hopefully you know, there's something in there. I try not to be blathering on too much, but I know I get accused of that. So but the live stream is kind of about the community more than anything, about all of us hanging out together. So David, did you give me a clarification? Oh, hey, Franco, what's going on? Finally, yeah, because I'm later than normal. So let's see. So what I was going to talk about, remember, you know, when I was talking about the embellishments, I brought up the caged method, and I always like to do a refresher. Some of you are like, I still don't understand the caged method, and then this time when I explain it, you'll finally get it. Okay, but the caged method is just a way of seeing your fretboard using just 5 shapes, and they just kind of unfold on your fretboard, and they always unfold and reveal themselves on your fretboard ascending, spelling the word caged. C-A-G-E-D. So if we start on C, the next shape is going to be an A shape. This presupposes that you know the 5 shapes. C, like a C chord, an A chord, okay, a G chord, an E chord, and a D chord. C-A-G-E-D. Okay, so so if you know those 5 shapes, and you probably should if you've got a guitar at all, then if I start on C chord, that's obviously a C shape. Well, the next C chord up the fretboard is this one, and it looks like an A, C-A. And then the next one is the G shape, which looks like this. And the next one's the E shape, which looks like this. And the next one's a D shape that looks like this. And so I've spelled the word caged by the shapes, by the names of the shapes. If I start on A, the next one's going to be the G shape. Okay, so it doesn't matter what letter of the word you start on, you know, you're going to be, if you start on A, you're going to be spelling aged C. So it's not going to be caged. So don't like make a, well, go ahead and make a comment saying, that doesn't spell caged. If you want, that's fine. If you want to grind me on that, go for it. But A, and then G shape, and then the E shape, and then the D shape, and then the C shape, and then back to the A shape. So, you know, if you start here, now you are spelling the word caged. And if I'm starting on the E chord, for example, the next shape is going to be the D shape. So the next E chord up the fretboard is going to look kind of like a D chord. And then the next E chord that's going up the fretboard, the next one's going to look kind of like a C chord. And the next one's going to look kind of like an A chord. And the next one's going to look kind of like a G chord. And that's the caged method. So if you start to see that, so for example, if I'm playing over an E chord, I might, you know, see this chord, but then I might think this chord, this D shape, or C shape, or go to the A shape, and I'm still playing over an E chord here, and then the next one would be the G shape, and all of those patterns or whatever I'm kind of visualizing on top of the chord shape. Okay, so the thing I titled this live stream, I says Circle of Fifths riffs. I'm gonna kind of show you one. It's a kind of a trick. It's a Chet Atkins thing, but Carl Verheyen showed this to me on one of our lessons back in the 80s. and I've used it. It's not very often you get called to play over a circle of fifths. It just doesn't happen very often. I should do a bluegrass jam with a circle of fifths bridge. That may be the next one. Sam, we're talking about um, my latest video that I dropped over the weekend, and it was unapproved. It got flagged for copyright violation, even though it was just G, C. And what I did was, instead of changing every bar, I changed every 2 bars, because I was using my own jam track to practice my mandolin scales. So I wanted to practice my G mixolydian, my C mixolydian, my D mixolydian, my G major, G minor pentatonic, whatever, all the different scales. And I just kept going, oh man, it changes too soon. I'm just starting to get like a little bit of the G under my fingers, and I got to go to C now. And as soon as I get the C under my fingers, it goes to G. I haven't had a chance to jam along with it yet, but that's kind of why I created it. So I have a little bit more time. I'm doing it for me. But I feel like if it's something that I need and want, probably there's 10, 100,000 other guitar players that are thinking the same thing. So it's a little bit more elongated. I may do one where I do like that elongated thing, and then I go to like a circle of fifths in the middle, like, maybe 2 times through the pattern, and then a circle of fifths, and then 1 more time through the pattern. So it's kind of an AABA form, and then do that, and just do that on repeat. One of the things, I don't know if you'll notice, but I actually played 2 guitars on it. I played my cousin's Taylor. So one of the guitars is the Taylor that my cousin gave me, and the other one is my Martin. And I literally played the whole 12 minutes. I had to punch in a couple times because I brain farted, but I basically just play. So it's no loop in there. The bass is looped. I looped the bass, but the bass is just a MIDI upright bass. And that's all there is, 2 guitars and bass. So I kept it very simple, and I shouldn't get any of the bluegrass purists saying, hey, that's a sampled bass. There's no bluegrass bands that have sampled basses. And I bet you there is. I bet you there's some bluegrass band out there has got a guy playing keyboard bass triggering an upright sample. It's a lot easier to carry around than an upright bass, that's for sure. Oh, thank you. Linking the cage chord by the roots. Yeah, the highest pitch octave is the lowest pitched octave is of the next shape. Let's see. You're seeing something that maybe I'm not seeing, but basically, 2 of the cage chords have roots on the 6th string, 2 of them have them on the 5th string, and the D shape is on the 4th string. So if you know the bottom 2 strings, you're going to be able to pretty quickly find 4 of the cage shapes, and then if you learn the D string, then you'll be able to find the D shape as well. So I always suggest, especially if you're into playing electric guitar and into soloing, or want to learn how to solo, I always suggest trying to learn your fretboard. In other words, learn all the names of the notes on the fretboards. And you can start with the basic A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You don't need to worry about flats and sharps right away. If you know where C is, it's just a matter of knowing a slight calculation to figure out where C sharp is. So it's not like rocket science. If you know where E is, it's not really hard to find E flat. So, all right. So what I wanted to talk about with, hey, Steve Barry, what's going on? Hey there, Holly. Oh, we finally have an admin. Yeah, and my doctor appointment went fine. I went to the ear doctor, a new ear doctor. I've never been to one, actually. Well, that's not true. Years ago I did, but I just was wondering if I had anything in my left ear, like any wax or anything, because my left ear is duller than my right ear. And so, like, if I want to have a conversation with someone, I'm always put them on my right, because I'm not going to be able to hear as well, especially if the room is noisy. Like the NAMM show is just worthless. The doctor looked in the ears and she goes, perfectly clean. I don't never clean my ears out. And she goes, there's no wax at all. There's nothing. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome, but bummer. Because I was hoping like there would be some like, oh, she pulled out something like, look, there's a bug that's been living in there. I can hear. So it's kind of disappointed. and excited at the same time. So not excited. I wasn't excited. But she wants me to get a hearing test. I guess just to be a baseline thing. There's not really anything you can do. I'm still not, like, when I put my inner monitors in, see, I have these ear molds, these things that are custom fit to my ears. And I think these are like 8 drivers or something. These are expensive and they have a lot of drivers in them. You would think with my hearing loss in my left ear that it would kind of sound like it's panned to the right a little bit, but everything's still pretty dead center. Although the top end is going on the left. So, but it doesn't really, I guess there's enough low and mid that keeps everything sounding like it's in the center. So, but when I'm overdubbing guitars, like, or when I'm double tracking guitars, like when I did the Bluegrass Jam, which, thank you. Here, let me give you a link for it just so you have, if you want to. Where is it? Here it is. Boop, copy. Here it is if you want to go to it. So that's a more elongated jam. In other words, I sit on the chords longer. But when I was recording that, when I record the first guitar, I put it in the middle. Okay, this little recording trick. But so I'm doing that. I'm doing that on one. Probably I think I used my cousin's guitar first, and then when I go to do the double, when I double the guitar, just make it sound like it's 2 guitar players playing. I don't. When I did the Bluegrass Jam, I'm not trying to make it lock. Like, I'm not trying to do the same groove for 12 minutes. And like I said, there were no punch-ins on this, or there were punch-ins, but there's no loops on it. Usually I'll loop them, but this one I decided I'll just play all the way to the end. So I pan the first guitar to my bad ear, to my left ear, and then I pan the new guitar to my right ear, which is my good ear. And then I double it that way. So sometimes I want a perfect double. If I'm doing like pop finger picking thing, if I'm doing something like that, then I will try to lock them and make them like be really tight. And the thing is, if I got them exactly identical, then it would just sound like one guitar in the middle. So the whole point is to try to get it exact, but that's an impossible task. So by doing that, you create this stereo spread. If you're not even close, it really won't do this spread thing. It'll be more like chaos. So if you try to get it close, it just kind of creates this stereo spread and makes the sound a lot wider. And I think a little bit on the poppier side. So, oh, nice. 50 degrees. I think our high today is going to be 60. It's been a cold winter. We normally in LA, we'll get a week of 90s. In the winter, maybe 2 weeks. Like often in January, like so often when the NAMM show was in January, it would be like 90 degrees. And everybody that's coming here from all over the world is like, yeah, we're moving to LA. Like people from Germany or people from South Korea or China or the Midwest or the East Coast. They're like, yeah, we're moving our factory to LA. So, but it's not been like that we've been cold the whole summer. Hey, Sadie, oh yeah, there she is. Charlie's in the house. Oh, Sam, the copyright thing drives me insane. I may do a video on this, kind of a Rick Beato, angry man, hey kids, get out of my yard kind of video. And I'm sorry, I still haven't gotten to my lesson yet. Sorry about that. Every time I do one of these jam tracks, and there are no melodies, it's just 2 guitars jamming with a bass line, boom, 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 boom. There's nothing composed about it. There's no composition. There's no song. There's nothing. Every time the strike says, oh, this is the same melody as this thing. And what it is, it's a bot that's catching it and comparing it, and there may be a passage where it sounds similar, I don't know, or the bass line maybe, but I even try to mix the bass line now up a little bit. But because I'm using a sample, maybe is somebody using the same sample, but it's usually give me strikes on old songs from like the 50s. So there's no sampled basses in the 50s. So I don't know what the hay is going on with that, but it drives me crazy. Normally it's a 30-day wait, but this is the first time they must have actually, it said they got rid of the strike. It wasn't technically a strike. It was just a hold. And I just don't monitor. I don't post it until I get that hold off, because I can't make any money from it. Or I can, but I'm sharing the revenue. And then because they are controlling it, they'll put 400 ads in there. And I would make a lot of money. I could make a lot of money on these jam tracks if I put an ad in every minute, but I don't. I put an ad at the beginning, maybe 2 at the beginning, and there's 1 at the end. Whoever goes to the end, nobody goes to the end. So I only make money on the front end. And again, it's like, I think every time someone spins, I think every 3 spins, I get a penny. So you run the numbers. I got 300 spins, so that's 100. So $1 so far, I think. You know, a little over 3. So, you know, it's something like that. It's almost like 3 to 1 kind of ratio. So, yeah, Tim, the system is ridiculous. I think it's just automated. Something's hearing something, kind of like a Shazam kind of thing. And so it's triggering something, because I have gotten a thing from YouTube saying that someone copied my video. Well, I clicked on the link they sent me, and it was literally just someone reposted my video. So I'm like, what the heck? And then, so I was like, okay, I have it take down. I click on the thing to take down. The video had like 8 spins. I click on the takedown thing. It was like pages and pages of stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm not doing this. It's not worth it. The guy can have my video. I mean, he doesn't own it. I'm getting the royalties from it because YouTube caught him, but I didn't tell him to take it down, and I don't even know where we stand on that thing. It probably is up to 18 views or something like that. If it had 100,000 views, even then, I'd probably be better off to leave it, because if I'm getting, YouTube knows it's mine, they're giving me the royalties, right? So, but it didn't have very many views, so it wasn't worth my time. So, yeah, I don't. Yes, yeah, right. Oh, yeah, Tim, you and I could upload the entire Led Zeppelin catalog. I almost always, when I'm going to like find something on YouTube, I always try to go to the artist's YouTube channel if I can, like Queen, or I want to listen. I know they're already billionaires, but I'd rather give them the money for the thing that they created than there's some random guy who just happened to throw it up on YouTube, who's got millions of views on it. And I know 1 million views, that's, you know, that generates, you know, about $7,000 or something? No. Yeah, something like that, about $7,000 or something. I don't know. You guys run the numbers. But you know, 1 million views is some real money. I think it would be more like $3,000 or $4,000. But you see people that don't own these songs and they're up like, I'm like, how are those not getting taken down, right? So, yeah, that drives me crazy. That my little videos with a jam track that's 3 chords, clearly uncopyrightable, and being used for teaching purposes, gets a copyright strike. And although, again, I've not gotten any strikes, so, you know, 3 strikes and you're out kind of thing with YouTube. None of them have stuck. But I've fought everyone. And that's the thing. You get a strike if you fight and lose. And I had 3 at once, and I only fought 2 of them just in case, because I did a video and it got 3 strikes from 3 different songs. I'm like, well, wait a minute, why don't they fighting each other? Why don't they go after each other? If my song sounds like their 3 songs, why? And it was just random weird songs. So I only fought 2 of those in case I lost and got strikes, because then I'll be like, well, I'm 1 strike from losing my channel. So, but I don't have any strikes. And every time I fought, I've won. I would never fight something that I didn't know I wasn't right about. Now, I don't know if I'm going to win. Hey, Michael, what's going on? Yes, clickbait, reuse another. It was funny. I was trying to, sorry, I'm never going to get to this lesson. I wanted to watch the Chiefs, the Chiefs Super Bowl that they lost to Tom Brady. It was Tom Brady and Mahomes and Patrick Mahomes. And I wanted to watch that one. And the NFL is really cool. They'll put full games up on YouTube. It's amazing. And some of their highlight videos are great because they really cut out all they can take a full game easily down to 20 minutes of good action. And NFL's great about that. And there's ads. I'm fine with that, but that's cool that they put up. I clicked on it thinking it was the game, like it said full game and it said 3 hours. I clicked on it, it was a Madden game. And it literally took me 30 seconds before I realized it because it looked so good. It was just two guys playing Madden with the two teams. It was like, wait a minute. Stupid. Okay. They allow reading things that are still copyrighted in the US and UK because other countries like Australia are only 50 years. It shouldn't be allowed. Yeah, we're 70 years now in the US. I think Europe is 70 years or 75. And that's why they upped it here. Well, they upped it here, I always say, because of a mouse. Because the Mickey Mouse was about to expire, so they upped it from 50 to 75. Hey, Lena, good to see you. So, so that was, yeah, and that benefits me. I was just talking to the doctor today when I was at the doctor's office, and I was telling her that, yeah, I mean, I understand, like pharmaceutical, I own Pfizer, I own stock in Abbott Labs, and unfortunately Novavax. Stupid stock, I shouldn't have bought it. But they, the copyright or the patent on a pharmaceutical, on a drug, is only 17 years. And the clock starts as soon as they apply for FDA approval. And FDA approval typically takes 10 years. So they only get 7 years to make their R&D money back. That's why new drugs are so expensive. Now, they also do cheesy things like they change one little ingredient or something, and they get a new 17 years or whatever. And I hate that. But again, if drug companies weren't making money, we wouldn't have some of the life-saving drugs that we have. That said, I'm not taking any drugs right now, fortunately. But my copyright for my songs will last 75 years after I die. And for my YouTube channel, I think too. That is a long time. That's like, I have a friend whose grandfather, Roland McLean, created Dobie Gillis. He wrote half of the episodes for Gilligan's Island. He created a bunch of shows. Leave It to Beaver. He almost wrote all of the episodes of Leave It to Beaver. And my friend, who's his grandson, and his siblings and cousins still get money from that for all those years ago. It's crazy. So, I mean, that's part of the reason why I chose the profession I chose, because I like, more than half of my income last year was from residual income. And you're like, well, that's money for nothing, and like the song Chicks for Free. Not exactly nothing, because one of my biggest shows is Street Outlaws. I write a lot of music for Street Outlaws on Discovery Channel, and I don't make any money up front. They don't pay me to do it. Everything I write's on spec. I have no idea if I'm going to make any money from all the work I do on that show. And so, but I keep the pipeline filled. I keep sending them new stuff. Basically what happens, they ask me for specific things, and I'll do 5 to 10 to 20 songs in that genre, and then send it to them. And I'm going directly to the production company. I refuse to write for libraries, because libraries are too big, and I'm competing with too many composers, and I don't want to do that. I write directly for production companies. So almost everything I write gets in a show, which is good. Nobody has that batting average, but the way I work, it works that way. And then the pop stuff is the same thing. Like I'll write, Justin Bieber and I have written 40 or 50 songs together. How many have been released? 4? I didn't get paid anything for those 40 songs that I wrote with him. Nothing. I hope they get released someday. But some of the checks that you get when they are released are pretty sweet. But it's not like money for nothing. It's like, really, Beth calls it being career pregnant. If I get and it's actually longer than 9 months, but if I get a song on a show and it airs, it's about 6 to 9 months before I get my money. So you have to be able, you either have to live cheap, which is what we did, or you have to have seed capital. You have to have money that you can live on. that you can live on in the meantime. All right, so this is not at all what I want to talk about. This is I'm what 30 minutes in, more than 30 minutes in, and I haven't gotten to the lesson yet. So the lesson I want to talk about was kind of based a little bit on the circle of fifths. But what I want to do is let's take those 5 circle of fifths chords and turn them into dominant sevenths chords. Okay. So we take C, the first chord. Okay. And I'm going to type these out for you so you have them. C. One way to play it is C. Okay. And I'm going to say nothing on the bottom. We're just going to do like kind of standard C. And then C7. Like that. Yes, if you're a lefty, it's a circle of fourths. Oh, well, it's funny too, because when I do the... Somebody argued that that was not the circle of fifths, it was circle of fourths. It's true. However, the way I'm seeing that E to A to D to G is, and Sam, you know this, and you always know the term for it, and I always forget the term, right? It's kind of like our joke. But E7 is the 5 of the A7. A7 is the 5 of D. D7 is the 5 of G. Yeah, exactly the same thing with real estate agents, Michael. 100%. Yeah, because in California, it's like 6% on $1 million house. That's $60,000, but it's split 4 ways for one thing. So now you're down to $15,000 per entity, and my broker. Although I did a lot of the work up front, so she didn't. When we found the house we wanted, that's when we put an offer in. I didn't make her drive us all over town looking at houses. We did that on our own. We narrowed all the houses out by ourselves. Thank you. The dominant. And so circle of fifths. When I say circle of fifths, like if I were to go E7 up a fifth to D7, up a fifth to F7, there are no songs that do that. That's what you're getting when you go E, A, D7, G. What you're getting when you do that is these is basically a cadence. What's called a cadence in music theory. Don't worry. Where's my glass? There won't be a quiz on this, okay? But the cadence, a cadence is like a 4/1 cadence, which is called the Amen cadence. Like the end of a hymn. The 5/1, I don't even know what kind of cadence it's called, but the 5/1 is the most common cadence, and it's you could go E to A is 5/1 in the key of A. Okay, we're in the key of A. There's A. If I count up 5 notes in the E scale, I get an E, and that's a major chord. But to make it that resolution stronger, or the tension stronger, if you make it a 7th chord, now you got this tritone in the middle, and you got a little bit more like this, kind of, you make a face, like something smells bad. And it's a little bit stronger resolution. And I can look at it this way. See, there's the tritone, D and G sharp. And the G sharp wants to go up to A, and the D wants to go down to C sharp. And that's basically what's happening when you go, okay? There's tension and resolve or release. All right. Did we change this? No. I had a doctor appointment this morning, Lena, and then I had to stop at the mall and get one of those, you know those back chairs that you sit in, and you pay the guy $40-50, and he beats the hell out of me. I'm a little bit sore from it. I was like, I tweaked my neck. I think I tweaked it working. I've been working a lot. I've been doing Beth is like, you poor thing. But it's kind of one of those things where I got just work piling on my desk. And so I think I was doing this where I was playing and reading off of my computer, the PDFs, instead of printing charts up, because I've gone through a ream of paper just on this one game, which is fine. I got tons of paper. It's not like that's a problem, and I recycle it, so it's not like I killed a tree. But I thought, oh, I'm just tired. One of the charts was 11 pages, but it was mostly rests. So I'm like, well, I don't need to turn pages. And I was playing, and I was looking to my right. When you sit like that for a long time, and I'm concentrating, and I didn't feel that I tweaked my neck, and so that's why I had to hit that on the way back from the doctors. It just was like, I got it. Oof. It's better though. It's definitely better. I mean, I could feel the knot, like, when they do the elbow thing. It's like, ow. I didn't want to cry because I'm sitting in the middle of them all. It's a little embarrassing, to be honest. I'm like, but it's fine. My face is down on the thing, so I didn't have anybody come by and go, hey, Tom, what's up? But it was like right next to like the hot dog place or whatever, So, okay, so the C7, see, it's a C7. Okay, G, this is G7. Let me give you a G and a G7 here. All right. So what we're doing is we're taking the 5 chords from the caged method, and we're making them all dominant 7th chords just for fun. No, I kind of have a point, if you were wondering. Oh, no, that's totally true, Bob. Yeah, that's totally true. Somebody said, when you hit 60, you wake up every morning asking yourself, did I play football yesterday? Because that's what it feels like. Yeah, it sucks. And you think you make progress on, there's no progress to be made ultimately, right? We're all headed to the same place. But and Beth and I cold plunged last night, and I thought maybe that would help because I got low, so my neck was under the water. But it didn't really. When I woke up this morning, I was like, you don't realize how. So there's G and G7. You don't realize how much you kind of lead with your head when you're getting out of bed, in and out of bed. Like to get in and out of bed, you really you can really feel it. It's like, oh my gosh, I was kind of dying. Okay, so D7, very common. Whoops, here's D. I'm not just a basic D chord, and then D7, very common. A lot of you know this one. Hopefully, many of you know this one. Make sure it's right before I hit return. Okay, and then A and A7, and that would look like this. All right. Yeah, it's just everybody's busy. We got a pretty good showing here. We're getting up to 30. That's good. I've been expecting that. Bruce finally made it. Sorry, Bruce. You texted me I was driving, so I didn't, and I had my phone on. I didn't even have it on stun. I just turned it off. I turned on airplane mode when I was getting my back worked on, because I don't want to be distracted. I just let it happen. Okay, so. Okay, we got one more E and E7. Now, again, remember the whole point of learning the caged method. The whole point of learning the caged method is to learn your fretboard. Okay. So I'm going to show you a couple shapes that really aren't like those. So I'm kind of like contradicting myself. But there's other ways you can play G7, for example. Like here's G, and here's G7. But you could also play G7. See, I'm making a little D7 shape right here on the bottom 3 strings. So this way, all right. So play this. You can play it like this. I'm going to go G7, just another way. It's 3, 2, 3. Open, open. You could play 3. I'm not really worried. Mainly what I want you to see are the D string, the G string, and the B string, okay? So if we're just playing that, that's it right there. All right. G7. This is a G, technically is a G7. All right. Nothing, nothing. 3, open, open, nothing. All right. Play that with me right now. Okay, so this is a trick. So now what we have there is we have an F, a G, and a B. I'm going to say it again. If you can learn that, great. All right, there's not going to be a quiz on this. I'm not going to get my mug out. You can take a sip though. Okay. But that's a G7 chord. It's got the F, a G, and a B. So it's got the 7th, it's got the 3rd on top, and it's got the root in the middle. All right, I'm just playing really one note here. You got that? So you don't need the 5th. I mean, if I wanted to put the 5th in there, where would I put it? I guess I could put it down there. But there's no need to have the 5th. The 5th is kind of like the most, I mean, unless the chord is like a G7 flat 5, then you got to have the 5 in there because it's in the name. They're like, and we want a flat 5, so you got to put the 5 in there. But I've even shown you in the past where we can just do 2 notes and imply a chord. Because if you have a bass player, you just need the root and the 7th and the 3rd, also known as the guide tones, right? So bass players go, and I'm just going. Hear the C chord? Back to the G chord? I'm playing the blues with just 2 notes. Up a fret, down 2 frets. We talked about this. I did a whole video on guide tones. So basically, in this chord shape, we have the guide tones and the root. So we're actually we've got 3 notes instead of just 2. Okay. Now that you know that 7th chord, that's G7, and this is the G string here. The 3rd string is the root. If I go up 1 fret, I'm going to go ahead and use my pinky, and I'm going to get this 4th fret, and I'm going to bar those 2 strings, just the 2nd and 3rd string, and that's A flat 7. That might be kind of hard. In fact, I can probably guarantee it's hard, but it'll get easier as we go up the neck because the frets get closer and the strings get a little squishier, so it's not so hard to push them down. So go up, and whatever that note that is, that's what kind of 7th chord it is. So that's an A, so this is A7. Still just playing the 4th string, the 3rd string, and the 2nd string. And I can tell you're doing it because nobody's typing right now. Go up again, B flat. Go up again, B. We're going to go all the way up to E. Okay, because that's the first chord in our circle of fifths. There's B. Go up another fret. We're at the 5th fret. Now that's a C7. See, hear it? Nice if you just kind of neck pickup. It's a good sound. Up again, C sharp. To the 7th fret, we're at D7. 2 more frets. D sharp or E flat, and here's E. Now again, Carl Verheyen showed me this trick back, and it's really not his trick. I think it's more of a Chet Atkins kind of thing. But country players use this trick a lot, you know, maybe rockabilly players too, that kind of vibe, you know, country, western swing stuff. Now, there's going to be several elements at play here, several things going on. So I'm not expecting any like major breakthroughs here, but okay, go ahead and take your hand off. Okay, I like to do this because I want you to try to learn the chord and put the chord on. So now we're at the 9th fret. Okay, and then do it again. Take your hand off and make the chord again. Hand off. One more time. Okay, and that's what we're going to do, believe it or not. All right. So we're playing over an E7 chord. So what I want you to do is I want you to use the pick to pluck the bottom note, the 4th string. And then I want you to pluck the next 2 strings with your 2nd and 3rd finger. Now this is going to take a while, so very unnatural. It's called hybrid picking. It's very common among country players. you want, you can just use your thumb and first two fingers. That's also okay. Okay, so that's basically half of the trick. Okay, the trick, there's 4 elements of the trick. There's the chord, there's the right hand element, there's the left hand trick, and then there's the timing, the rhythm of it. Okay, and so it's kind of this perfect storm of 4 different things happening, which makes it very, very difficult. But fun if you can get it down. And very much kind of a wow factor thing if you're at a guitar store and you play it and people are like, wait, what who's that? Is Chet Atkins here? Or Tommy Emmanuel? Is Tommy Emmanuel in the house? But the cool thing about this lick and what I'm showing you is that the principles involved in this and how we're playing over the circle of fifths can be applied to hundreds of licks, to be applied to create hundreds of licks, okay? And that's, again, the best compliment I've ever gotten was, you don't teach how to play music, you teach how to make music, which is exactly what I do, and it's not even intentional. It's just the nature, it's just naturally how I teach. I'm really not interested in teaching you how to play a bunch of songs. I'm more interested in creating songs. Like I played a cover band, and the last cover band I played in was 1982. I haven't played in a cover band since 1982. Everything I've ever done since then has been create original music. So I'm not even wired to really learn songs and play them. I learned them for students, but that was it. Okay, so we got this. Okay, so we have 2 elements. Take your hand off, make that E7, all right? And then pluck it with the thumb and fingers, or you can use the pick, you can do the hybrid. You get more snap with that. It's gonna be louder and brighter with the pick and fingers. And if you want, you can go short. Like, I'm lifting the fingers off the strings, but I'm not lifting I'm lifting the strings off the frets, but I'm not lifting the fingers off the strings, okay? So I'm not going like that. I'm just going, so I'm keeping my fingers on the strings, but I'm letting them die. But you can, to get that snap, you kind of get your fingers underneath the strings a little bit and let when you pull them, you get that string kind of snapping back and hitting the fretboard. That's how you get that chicken picking kind of vibe. But yeah, okay. Now this is probably going to be the hardest part of this lick. Are you with me so far? I think you are, because again, you're not texting, you're not chatting right now, so you're with me. Okay. So now what we want to do is pull off our first finger. All right? We're going to pull it off to 2 open strings, the G string and the B string. And you're like, well, wait a minute. There's no G in an E7 chord. It doesn't matter. For one thing, remember the key we're in. We're ultimately going to the G chord. This circle of fifths thing. Oh, wait a minute. I started on the wrong chord. Yeah, actually I should be starting on the B7 chord. So I actually showed you the wrong chord. So we're gonna, but that's all right. I'll show you I'll show it to you in C. But it really doesn't matter, because the open strings, when we pull off to them, we're not going to be there for very long. Oh, you're slow now? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what's happening, Holly. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling off, but really I'm pulling down towards the floor, and if the E string rings out, who cares? So like 1 E and what we're going to do is we're going to do that kind of like that groupings of 3/4 thing, where we're playing the phrase is a 3-note phrase, but we're using 16th notes. So it's kind of 4 16ths, 4 16ths, 4 4 4 4. But we're taking it 3 of those first 3, and then the next one and +2, and the next 2 +1, and we get this kind of like that. And it's happening so fast, you don't really, that G string, yeah, it's ringing out and it contradicts the E chord, but it doesn't really matter because it's just, it's there for kind of that effect. I think. You know what? And I got to show you the second. I've got to show you the second dominant seventh chord that we're going to use. But I'm using only two chords there. I'm using this shape for the E and that same shape for the D7. And I'm using that shape for the A7 and that shape for the G7. And I'm going to show you that one in a second. All right. I mean, that one's kind of based on the D7 shape. And this one does not have a root in it. It has a third and a seventh and a fifth. Okay, so don't worry if you can't get this down right away, but hey, Ken, what's going on? Good to see you. Cat in the lap, yeah. You're not going to kick a cat off your lap. That's therapeutic right there. So you can go super duper slow, but try to do like, so I'm doing four of those. No, four of them, and I'm ending with a boom, the first 2/3 of that lick. I hope I'm not confusing you too much, but basically, hitting the fourth string, hitting those two notes, pulling off, hitting the bottom string, putting it back on, pulling it off, like that. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. What are the finger string fretting numbers, please? So I'm playing, the first finger's getting, so it's 12, 9, 9, and it's pinky. And you could use your third. I see guys use the third. It's a little harder down here, but it's probably doable up here. And you might have a hard time getting that pinky to arch enough to not mute that third string. But I'm pulling off the B string and the G string as well. Both. But again, you don't really notice it. The rhythm on that, I've simplified what I normally do. What I normally do. But you could probably come up with 5 or 6 different ways of playing, messing around with that. You know, I'm just going more just straight. Pick, fingers, pull off. Pick, fingers, pull off. And it's not triple. Don't think of it as 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2. It's not. It's hard to do it without like a drum beat or something like that, but to show you where the downbeats are. But if you can just get that, and then when you go down 2 frets, you get the D chord. And that G and the B string, those notes are not in the D chord at all. I mean, the G is the 4th and the B is the 6th. It shouldn't make any sense, but you're not spending enough time on it for anyone to notice that those aren't in there. It doesn't matter what key you're in. It really doesn't matter what key you're in, because you're just there for a second. It's just a pull off to kind of give you that country flavor in some ways. Okay, that's fine. That's fine, Lena. Okay, so let's get the second dominant chord, the second 7th chord. And it's kind of based on this D7 chord. So playing the D7 chord, I'm on the 4th string, open, second, first, open. I'm sorry, open, second, first, second. And I got to stop here in a minute. I got work to do. I can't believe I've been going an hour already. Okay? But just play these two notes, just the first and second finger. But we got our pinky again. Reach it out here. Okay, there's our pinky out on the 4th fret. So it's 4, 2, 1. And that lines up with my fingers as well. Pinky second. Okay? And so if I go all the way up to the, see, I'm here at this is the 8th fret. That's there. That's the 7th. So the root is here. So if you know what note that is, you'll know that this is an A7. You don't really need to go, oh, it's an A7, because it's a lick. So we just learn the lick. Oh, sorry. And then we just go down a fret. So we got that one. And this is the, so here's the E7, here's the A7, and same exact trick. So it's pick, fingers, pull off, pick, fingers, pull off, pick, fingers, pull off, pick. So we're going to do 3 of those and then finish off with it. Three eighths. Oh. No, Sam, I'm doing 3/8. That's right, or 3/16 actually is Mamba is how I'm thinking of it. So it's like one. You could think of it as, if the tempo is really fast, you're right. If it was fast, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, you could think of it as 8th notes. Depends on the tempo. If I'm hearing the tempo and I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, da 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 da, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 E ended, 2 E ended. If that's how. But if I'm thinking of it as 8th notes, it's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Let's see. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Yeah. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. So I'm ending on 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. So you can think of it as 8th notes, but basically I'm just doing, Sam, when I was doing it kind of the way I do it, I start with a quarter and I go to 8th notes from there. But to simplify that a little bit so we're not so complex rhythmically, I'm just saying, let's just do straight 8th notes, but in groupings of 3. Keep going. If it was B7 to E, to A7 to D to G, okay, so we're doing a circle of fifths. And if you're in a key and you want to know how can I do that 4-chord circle of fifths progression, go to the 3rd of the key, or the 3rd chord of the key, and make that a dominant 7th chord. You can think of it as going to the 3rd of the root chord. So in the key of G, the 3rd is G, B, okay? G, B, D is the triad. Root, 3rd, 5th. Don't worry, no quiz. But there's the 3rd right there, B7. So there's our first chord. Once you have the first chord, now it's just like, well, what is this the 5 of? Oh, it's the 5 of E, so I'm going to go to E7. And you can even do B. You can even go to the major triad and then go to the dominant 7th. Add the 7th later if you want. Like go B, B7, E, E7. I've heard it done that way too. A, A7, D, D7. But usually I just will go B7, E7, just all dominant 7th chord. Okay, and that would get you to the key of G. If you're going to do that, okay, you do the exact same lick. Instead of starting on the E7 chord, you start on the B7 chord, which is here. So now we're gonna have a little bit bigger stretch between our fingers. So if Lena, you're having a hard time with this, which you are, you probably won't be able to do this one if you can't do that one. But so that's my circle of fifths riff lick. And what my thing about that is, you can apply that, like I could do, instead of this E7, say I want to stay in the E7 thing, E7 to A7 to D7 to G7, I could take like this and just pull off my one finger. And that one's kind of cool. I'm opening, the G string is on every one of those. Almost a little easier. I probably should have showed you that one, but I'm stupid. But yeah, but you can do that with any like shape that you find. Like if I take this E7 shape and do that, where let's see, B7, go to E9, A7 to A9. Okay, but that also can be done, you can do other licks with it, like you could do let's see. And that's that. All that I'm doing is I'm like coming up with another way to play through these chords. Let's see. That's one. That's weird. But I could go. No pull off at all, but I'm more doing like a banjo thing. But that's kind of how you, one of the ways to play over that circle of fifths thing. In other words, you don't have to sit here and go, okay, I'm playing over E7, I need E dominant, I need an E mixolydian scale. You know, you don't need to go through all your different mixolydian scales. All I did there was I played E mixolydian to A mixolydian to D mixolydian to G mixolydian. I can do that, but if I'm playing over like a circle of fifths, I'm probably going to have more fun with it and do more of those kind of, you know, what was one of the ones I came up with? It was like, I don't know, let's see. Get rid of this distortion. I don't know if you can hear any of this. I still got to figure out a way to get the touch my face. Everybody take a sip. Still got to figure out a way to get that my Logic feeding into the OBS, but what was that, right? Yeah. But again, it's just, once you find like one of the seventh chords in the next one and just duplicate that twice, it's kind of a copy and paste kind of thing. But yeah, I agree, Bruce. It's great to see people here that normally aren't on. Lena hasn't been on in a while. Mamba. AJ, you're usually here. Ken's been here lately. Thank you, Ken. Swaps guitars. um, so yeah, so I'll be, as far as I know, next Monday normal time is fine. So count on that. Excuse me. Count on that. Like I said, I was late this morning because I had, or today because I had a doctor's appointment, ear doctor. Everything's fine. I mean, I'm going deaf, but it's not like anything that's unusual. Oh, hey, Jeff H, good to see you. And too bad Jeff H isn't here. And Jeff, and the and then yeah, so then I got my ear test, the bass thing and all that stuff. So it's, yeah, and then I went to the mall and got one of those shoulder. The guy beat me up. So let's see. But that's, yeah. And then I got home and I hadn't eaten anything, so I had some lunch too. So I just kept pushing you guys further and further into the afternoon. And now I've got work I gotta get back to. Actually, I'm gonna work on some Apex. Everybody take a drink. Working on some Apex Legends stuff today. They're building a giant EDU a couple houses down, so they're hammering all day long. So it's hard to record acoustics. Jeff, you're Jeff Hedbeck, right? Is that the Jeff H? Jeff, if I could afford, I don't know if you're that Jeff Hedbeck. I think we've talked about this before. I think that's you. If not, Jeff, a friend of mine I went to high school with, Jeff Hedbeck. He's a brilliant studio designer, but I could never afford him. And he would probably tell me to add a building to my house or something, like lose the pool and build. And I just, I've got my little space and it works for me. And if nobody's complaining and I keep getting more and more work and new people that I'm working for all the time, I guess I got something going right. And so, if I just had a bigger space, I'd just have more guitars everywhere. I swear. I mean, right now it's like I would have, 10 guitar boats out there, just full of guitars. So, oh, Jeff Height. Okay. So Jeff H, that's right. Jeff Height. Now that you say it, I remember. I keep thinking you're Jeff Hedbeck, but I haven't talked to Jeff in a long time, but we're Facebook friends. But Jeff's a studio space designer. It kind of travels all over the world doing that, which is kind of a cool job, right? It's kind of a cross between an architect and a audio scientist, because what he does is he makes sure that rooms have the best possible sound. So, all right. So I am going to. Oh, by the way, I saw Josh Flegg at church on Sunday, and he's doing good. He actually is working for a guitar company in up in Sacramento area. And if you don't know, Josh is a guitar player. He went to our church, and his dad was one of the pastors at our church, and then he got a senior pastor position at this kind of mega church up there in Sacramento. And then Dave died of COVID. His dad died of COVID, and probably complications related to it. But Josh is doing good. They said the church is they're still at the church, and the church is kind of, I think Josh's mom worked at the church too, and I think one of Josh's brothers is one of the youth pastors. There were three boys. But Josh is working for this guitar manufacturer. I think it's JEF is what it looked like it said on the headstock. But if you look up Josh Flegg or Joshua Flegg on Instagram, you can see his Instagram. So I talked to him about that. I said, I'd love to see one of those guitars, find out more about the guitars. I think he's painting them. He's doing like the artwork on them, which is really cool. If you look at him, it's like, wow, that's amazing. So I'm not sure if I've never been one for having fancy guitars, although Emma did that one. She did all the drawing on that Epiphone over there. But I think I paid $80 for that Epiphone. It So, and it was matte black, so it was perfect for the markers that I got her. I got the, it was like silver, gold, and bronze or brass markers. And, you know, I've showed it to you many times. Okay. You got a lot of problems, Joseph, a lot of physical ailments, I know. You're just constantly battling them. And Joseph, you joined just in time to sign off, but so I got to get to work, but I will, next Monday, normal time is my plan. I will post to Discord if that changes and let Bruce know. But at this point, my dance card is just stinking full. I just got somebody hit me up for something on Friday, and I'm like, I can't. I don't think I'd have time. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, I should get going. Beth is not coming straight home from work today, so that means I have extra time to work in my studio before she gets home. Because I hate to, she never complains, but some of this music is pretty intense, and I mean, I don't know if I'd want to hear this intense, metal music or whatever it is I'm working on, in the other room. It would drive me crazy. She never complains. So, and she's not deaf like me either. So I have to turn it up a little bit. But anyway, God bless you all. Thank you so much, Jeff. Sorry to mix you up with Jeff Hedbeck. I don't think Jeff Hedbeck's ever been on my YouTube channel. I'll have to give him a hard time about that. But thanks so much. I'll talk to you all later. Thank you, Holly. Thanks for jumping in. Bruce, Dennis missed out. He'll probably watch later, but it was just too late for him. I mean, I think it was 10 o'clock his time by the time I got online. So we'll see you soon. Oh, thanks, David. See you. Bye-bye. Have a good week.